What I'm going to tell you is one of the most embarrassing moments in my life, and it happened 6 to 7 years ago. It was a winter evening, and I was in an Indian restaurant with a few colleagues of mine. And after the dinner, when the time came to pay the bill, then the usual drama happened. Everyone wanted to pay, but the waiter was standing next to me. So I grabbed the bill from the waiter and then told everyone that I will pay. So the waiter politely asked me if I want to pay with the card or with cash. And I said card, and then the waiter went to get the card machine. So I took the card from the pocket, calculated a 10% tip, and then just swiped the card on the machine. But the machine just beeped with a red cross on the display. For a moment, I thought maybe I have entered the wrong pin. So I just swiped again, but the same thing happened. And then a printout came out of the machine and it read, "Not enough balance." I am someone who never carries cash, and that day was not different. But to my relief, something happened. One of my colleagues, he took the wallet out of his pocket and then paid the whole amount. Everyone just laughed about it and almost forgot about it by the time we came out of the restaurant, except me. But out of all of this, do you know what the strange thing was? The reason why I didn't have enough balance in my account was not that I wasn't earning enough. I had a good job and was earning a good salary. It was a totally different reason. But before I tell you the reason, let me tell you that I'm not someone who spends all my money buying expensive items. I'm also not a frugal saver. I come somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, and I guess most of you are somewhere there. The one thing that I spend a lot of money on is traveling. If someone asked me to join them for a trip, I would just say yes without thinking so much about it. And this drained my account. I still do travel a lot. However, I don't end up in such embarrassing situations where I don't have enough money in my account. I made a small change in my money habits that helped me to take control of my finances. And after watching this video, you can do the same. For those who are new here, my name is Srijit, and in this channel, we talk everything about saving and making money. The thing which I lacked was financial discipline. I had no idea how much money I was spending every day or every week, and how much money was left in my bank account at any point of time. But then, this was not a problem for me, because I had an infinite money printing machine in my pocket, my credit card. I can just swipe it left and right like a Japanese ninja. The pain is only felt when the payment is due. But there is an even bigger problem. Let's take a situation. I hope it doesn't happen, but suppose if you lose your job right now. I know you won't be starving or become homeless, but do you know how long you can survive without a fixed income? How many of you have an emergency fund set up? If you do not have a rough picture of your expenses, you won't be able to estimate how much you need to survive through an emergency. And an emergency could be anything. It didn't happen until now doesn't mean it will never happen. And for me, I didn't want to wait until that happened. So I implemented a 3-step strategy. The first 2 helped me to save more, but the third made the most impact. It made me a debt-free person. What I did was I started writing down my expenses. Nothing fancy, just every day the major expenses in a plain notepad. And at the end of each month, I did a review to find out how much I spent. And this helped me in 3 different ways. Of course, I could get a clear picture on where I stand with respect to my financial situation. I came to know how much I was spending and how much was left in my bank account at any point of time, so that I don't end up in such embarrassing situations anymore. But there were 2 other benefits that came out of this that I didn't expect and were kind of a bonus. Before I tell you those 2 more benefits, we need to meet someone. Ramit Singh Sethi is an American entrepreneur and a well-known personal finance advisor. He has a piece of valuable advice on this
When
topic.
it comes to our finances, I want people to take control. I want you to stop worrying about the price of an extra appetizer. That's irrelevant in the grand scheme. It's these big things, your house, your car, and your investment fees that really move the needle.
And I learned about my big wins once I started to track my expenses. The expenses that take most out of my pocket. And if we can somehow target those big expenses and cut them short, then that will have a significant impact than saving 1 or 2 cents here and there. Anyway, a third good thing also came out of this. I had a newsletter subscription that was no longer relevant and interesting to me, but still I was paying around $12 per month, and I just forgot that such a thing existed. You may also have some subscriptions or memberships that silently drain money from your account. If you start tracking your expenses, then you can identify and plug those leaks. Knowing how much money we spend is one thing, but having enough money to spend is a totally different ballgame. And there comes the second step in my strategy. I started classifying my expenses. Initially, I went with the 50-30-20 rule and categorized my expenses into 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings. But then I went a bit more detailed and created different expense categories. So rent goes to the housing expenses, movie tickets goes to the entertainment folder. After that, I went and set a budget limit for each category. But then I made the same mistake that most people make when they start with budgeting. I went too economical and set limits that were easy to break. I just wasn't able to stick to my budget. So I did some thinking, made some adjustments, and came up with some sensible values. The moral of the story is, don't set a $10 budget limit on food and then order takeout every week. When you do it realistically. And also do a periodic review of your budget and adjust the values accordingly. Even if you can't follow it strictly, just by having a budget, you will have a drastic improvement in your financial discipline. But still, there was one piece missing from the puzzle. I had told you earlier that traveling took major share of my expenses. For short trips, this was not a problem. But for the long expensive ones, always used to put me in debt. I used to pay it then and there with my credit card and then pay the bill later. But I knew this was not a good strategy because the interest rates on credit cards are the worst. So I executed the third step in my financial plan. At the beginning of every year, I make a rough note of the large expenses that may occur during the year. I will write the goal, the due date, and the amount I need to save each month to get there. Then I log in to my bank account and set up monthly automatic transfers to a saving account with this amount. Again, here also, the key is to be realistic with your plan. Even if you don't save any money for your vacation, save for an emergency fund. Because vacations can wait, but emergencies won't. It is always stressful and difficult to find a lot of money in a short amount of time. But there is one last problem. How to do all this efficiently? Of course, you can use a notebook and a pen, but that has limitations. There are a lot of budgeting apps and tools, but most of them are complicated, not customizable, and must be paid for. The idea was to save money, not spend more. So I designed a budgeting template in my note-taking tool Notion. Notion is kind of an all-in-all productivity tool that you can use for task management, project tracking, to-do list, journaling, and many other things. But the best thing about Notion is that I can customize it to suit my needs. The template is very simple. It handles the 3 key steps which we talked about already. It can track your expenses and income, set and monitor a budget, and work towards your financial goals. It also shows detailed reports on your spending habits. I never stopped traveling. In fact, nowadays I travel a lot more. But now I no longer have to depend on my credit cards. I'm totally debt-free and have around 1 year of expenses saved in an emergency fund. Now I don't have to sacrifice small happiness in my life in the name of frugal saving. It's a totally good feeling to wake up every morning knowing that you are prepared for any financial emergencies life throws at you. If you can somehow manage to do these 3 steps, then you will come out better than 90% of the population. So take a notebook and start writing down your expenses. And if you want something simple and efficient, then you can always download and use my Notion template. It's totally free. It helped me a lot and I want it to be helpful to others too. Until I see you with another video, take care, have a wonderful rest of the day, and adios.